What's good? What's good? It's the champ himself, the one, the only. But what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Tank Davis and Lamont Roach in the building, in the news. All right. So Tank Davis is, well, as we all know, like it looks like the rematch between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach is gonna happen, which I'm not mad at or whatever. You know, it is what it is. I'm not too excited about it, but you know, I understand it's something that needs to happen. You know, that's kind of how I've always been. It's fights that I'm not excited about, but I do understand that they need to happen. Like Tank versus Shakur. That's not something I would be excited about, but I do understand it needs to happen. So, you know, in this situation right here, Tank definitely has to get that back. He has a lot to prove or whatnot, because a lot of people, not myself, I don't feel like Tank lost that fight, but I also don't feel like Tank won that fight. But I'll get into that later. Regardless, Lamont Roach has it's actually stated that Lamont Roach is not happy with the purse split going on in the negotiations. I just heard that from Blue Blood. Shout out to his channel. I'm gonna speak on that as well because, you know, in my opinion, it's kind of one of those situations like, how bad do you really want to fight? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, let me go ahead and get into the article, and then I'll go ahead and give you my opinion about, you know, everything that I just briefly spoke about. So shout out to secondsout.com. It says Lamont Roach Jr. offered new world title shot before Gervonta Davis rematch. Lamont Roach has had another option presented to him before his proposed rematch with Gervonta Davis. Roach challenged Davis in March for his WBA lightweight title and was nearly able to pull it off in an incredible upset, with the fight ending in a majority decision draw after 12 rounds. Some fans believe Roach should have got the victory due to Tank taking a knee in round 9, but no knockdown being scored, something that proved crucial at the conclusion of the bout. The scorecards read 115-113 Davis and 114-114 twice, meaning that a 10-8 round for Roach would have been enough to swing in his favor to see him become a new champion. A rematch between the two men looked likely for this summer, but newly crowned WBO lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis has an idea of his own. Davis won the belt in the fourth round stoppage win over Denzi Burchek in February, and he told the Denza Project that he feels the fight between himself and Roach makes the most sense. Me and Lamont Roach stylistically is the hottest fight in the weight division. I disagree with that. I don't think it's the hottest fight, but it is, you know, whatever. You know, it's a good fight. Lamont stood there with Gervonta, the hardest puncher in the division, so put him against me. I'm not going nowhere. We're going to fight. Ain't nobody scared of nobody. It's all about the bread at the end of the day. In a perfect world, if I can have it like I want to have it, thank God to Lamont Roach for making his name in the 135-pound division, because we need somebody. Let's be real. Now we've got a new person. If I had it my way, Shakur and Tank, you go ahead and fight. Let me fight Lamont. No rematches yet. You will still have to wait. What? Let me fight Lamont. No rematches yet. You will still have to rematch. Have it go me and Lamont and Shakur and Tank. While Keyshawn was hopeful of landing the fight against Roach, it looks likely that the rematch will be indeed next for both men. All right, so it looks like let me see here. It looks like the rematch is was gonna happen, but then I want to read this also. This is also an article by Seconds Out. Shout out to secondsout.com. I think, is that Radio Raheem? I think that's him. Anyways, Lamont Roach Jr. reveals his one demand before Gervonta rematch can happen. Lamont Roach has earned a rematch with Gervonta Davis at the very least. The super featherweight world champion moved up a division earlier this month to challenge Tank for his WBA lightweight belt. Despite being a heavy underdog, Roach put on an excellent showing, delivering a fight promised to give as good as he got against the bigger hitter from Baltimore. After 12 close rounds, one judge scored it in favor of the champion, 115-113, while the other two had it 114-114, meaning a majority draw and Tank retaining his belt. The result is unfair in the eyes of most, given the ongoings of round 9. Davis took a knee to retreat. We already read that. Whatever. During the count, despite starting the count, referee Steve Willis stopped it and settled for a word with Davis. Had it been scored 10-8 in favor of Roach, we already know that, okay? While talk of immediate rematch now ramping up, Roach told the It Is What It Is podcast that he absolutely is insisting Willis be nowhere near the ring next time around. I just saw that with Cam and Mace. Hell nah, he can't do the next fight. Look at how many times he effed up the fight. The knee, him going in the corner to get assisted. I'm not saying that he did any cheating or nothing, but his coach wiped his face with a towel. You can't do that. You can't do none of that. That's a disqualification. You turned your back on the ref. You took a knee. Usually the ref would be like, all right, you don't want to fight no more. The fight's off, which he is telling the truth. If the ref is counting, you turn your back on him. The fighter's like, not in all cases though. Like some cases, like the ref will start counting, the fighter will like walk over the pace, like get his legs underneath him. Something the referee will, you know what I'm saying, give him a chance. But if you turn your back all the way, and especially your trainer's not allowed to come onto that. I don't know if a lot of guys know this, but your trainer is not allowed to step foot on that ring until the end of the round. That's why a lot of people felt like Floyd Mayweather should have really been disqualified against Zab Judah when Zab Judah low blow Floyd, and then Roger Mayweather stepped into the ring, and then that big old fight happened, that mayhem happened. A lot of people felt like Floyd really should have been disqualified because if your trainer steps on that ring or up them stairs for any given reason other than the fact that the round is over, that's an automatic disqualification. So it's a lot that went on with that. It's a lot. But I'm gonna tell Roach says, I'm gonna tell you right now, I signed and sealed. We are waiting on the other half. That is all. So let's go ahead and just talk about this, man. Now, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I know Lamont Roach, I can completely understand why he wouldn't want Steve Willis in the corner anymore. Like, I completely understand that. And I actually am with him on that, And 9 times out of 10, that's not gonna happen. Like, how often do you see a rematch with the same judge in the corner? I'm not the same referee in the fight or whatnot. But I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, he had his concerns with that, and he also had his concern with the split that he was getting. I'm hearing about he's not happy with the split. It's just like I said earlier. In my opinion, with Lamont Roach, it's like, well, how bad do you really want it? Because whether you felt you won or not, on paper you didn't beat the champion. And in my opinion, I'm gonna continue to state this, and I'm not stating this because I'm a Tank fan. But it's just the truth. In my eyes, neither fighter did enough for me to just say, oh, he clearly won that fight. Like, I felt like a draw was the right call. Now, I will say this. I would definitely say this, and I stand by it. If we're going off of the judges' scorecard, and if the referee was reffing the fight the correct way, Lamont Roach should have definitely won that fight, because if the two of the judges had it 114, that should have been a 10-8 with Lamont Roach and Tank Davis when Tank took a knee, and that would have then had Lamont Roach winning one round, winning by 1 point. He would have won 114 to 113 by a majority decision, or a split decision actually, because one of the judges had it for Tank. So in that case, it would have been 114, 113 Tank, 114, 114 Lamont Roach or whatnot. Now, it is what it is. I'm not gonna complain. Like I said, I don't feel like either fighter had done enough to pull away from that fight. A lot of times, people, like, when you have somebody like that's as dominant as Tank, that's used to knocking guys out and stuff and looking like having a clear victory, not even just knockouts. So when you have somebody that's normally that has a clear victory, that's used to getting clear victories, like like Floyd Mayweather, like Triple G and stuff. When they fight somebody that is considered a heavy underdog, and the underdog does better than what expected, a lot of times we give them a little more credit than needed or whatnot. And I'm not saying that anybody is wrong for having Lamont Roach winning. I'm just saying I don't think that Lamont Roach did enough to pull away from that fight. Neither fighter did enough to pull away from that fight. It's kind of like, with Triple G and Sergey Derevyanchenko. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people felt like Sergey Derevyanchenko won because Sergey Derevyanchenko did really, really good in that fight, and he wasn't expected. So it's like when the underdog does more than what's expected, people more so tend to give them more leadway, or give them more credit than And when they make a close fight with somebody that's a huge favorite, they often like to say, "Oh, it was a robbery." But I just don't think it was a robbery. I don't think that anybody did enough. I'm gonna keep saying that. But I understand why a rematch needs to happen. Now, I'm not mad at Keyshawn for calling out Lamont Roach either. And a lot of people, you're gonna like. I think Lamont Roach actually spoke on that with his interview with Cam and Mace. That Shakur reached out to him as well. And a lot of people, you got Tank. I'm Tank. The Tank fanboys. I want to say something else, but I'm gonna keep it PG. The Tank fanboys will try to say, "Oh, Shakur's clout chasing. Everybody wants to be like Tank. Now that Tank fought Lamont Roach." Dog, that if you don't, I hate when these YouTubers try to act like they know boxing, but they're misleading or misguiding the fans. If you know boxing, you know that a lot of times when a fighter is trying to call out another fighter, and let's say, or I'm gonna just say fighter A is trying to call out, or fighter B is calling out fighter A. And fighter A, for whatever, doesn't want to fight fighter B, but then he fights this guy, fighter C. And fighter C does really, really good against fighter A. Now, fighter A still doesn't want to fight fighter B. So what does fighter B do? Fighter B fights fighter C because fighter C put up a great fight against fighter A, and fighter B wants to use fighter C as a measuring stick to show, hey, he had troubles with this guy, I didn't. That's exactly it's just what the sport is about. That's what happens. Manny Pacquiao grew a whole fucking career off of fighting Floyd Mayweather leftovers to make it, to build himself up as the guy that can beat Floyd. That's just what happens when you have a guy that wants to fight another guy. That guy doesn't want to fight. You fight his leftovers and use that as a measuring stick to say, hey, he had trouble with this guy, I didn't. That's all it is. It happens in boxing. It's gonna continue to happen. I can think of many instances that happens or whatever. So it's not clout chasing. I think that he's just doing what he's supposed to do. Shout out to Keyshawn and Shakur. Both of them called out Tank. Tank is not interested in fighting neither one of them for whatever reason. So they're doing the next best thing. You have an issue with this guy. He gave you troubles. Let me go ahead and wipe him out and show y'all why I do deserve a fight with Tank Davis. Rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. Whatever, man. A rematch is gonna happen. If Lamont Roach really he got to figure out what he wants. Is it legacy or is it finances that's more important in the situation? If it's legacy, go ahead and take what you get. Fight Tank, beat him, and then you become the A side. If it's finances, then you might have to move on. You know what I'm saying? Because Tank is not gonna give you any leverage. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?